All right, I think we are live. Yep, we've been 12 seconds, 13, 14. Okay. So, hello. Right now there's nobody in the chat. So, for most of you it's probably going to be a replay, and I want to say hello and thank you for coming back and watching the video, um and hopefully for supporting the Kickstarter that I'm doing. Um so what is the Kickstarter? Um let's talk about the Kickstarter. In 2004, I wrote this book. Help Wanted Devil. It was my very first novel. I was almost a year after graduating from graduate school with my library science degree. I had my first job. I had no money because I had my first job, and had always wanted to do National Novel Writing Month. The problem with doing National Novel Writing Month is that you need to isolate yourself for a month to write your book, and well, that was easy because I had yet to really make some friends locally and I had no money to do anything. So sitting down with a laptop and an idea that had been in my head for about 6 months seemed like a good idea. The idea came from a dream, and that was, and I barely recall the dream now, but what I do remember is me and death getting on a bus of people who were going skiing, but they were all already dead. They were essentially going to haunt people at a ski resort, and it was my job as the interviewing candidate to stop them. And I woke up and I thought, "Oh, wouldn't it be great to write a book about hiring a new devil and that death has to do it?" And that's how this book was born. Here we are nearly 20 years later, and I'm finally feeling confident enough to publish it, which is where we are right now. So this book has gone through many, many drafts over the years. After writing the first draft, I realized I didn't really want to do anything with it. I couldn't wrap my head around it anymore, and I put it away. And then a few years later, I pulled it out, dusted it off, shared with a friend, and thought maybe I could do something with it. And when I went back to edit, I realized I had a big problem. My headspace when I wrote it was very different than the headspace when I was editing it. When I wrote it, I was irritable and angry. I was still coming off of a big failure in life pre graduate school. I was still feeling anger about that. When I edited the book or attempted to edit the book, and that was, oh, I think draft two, I was feeling very differently about the world and my place in it. I was it was me in my 20s versus me in my 30s. And I had a very different perspective that I couldn't get back into the previous one because of. So here I am trying to recapture this character Samantha. This was the original main character who was entitled and a raging megalomaniac. Actually, I don't even know if we'd call her a narcissist. We'd go straight into megalomania. But she was in this very dark headspace, and her douchebaggery was so bad that I could not come back to her as the narrator. So I tried to edit the book from a different perspective. I tried to balance her with this what had been originally Angel, and when I was editing it, I changed it to Anne. This character going from Angel to Anne is why Emma Shaw in Modern Persuasion is not named Anne Elliot, because I already had an Anne and I didn't want to duplicate, because at that time I thought this was all going to be one pen name, one shared universe, and I didn't want people confusing characters. So I had this Anne who turned out to be just too goody goody to be a narrator. She didn't really have a change arc. She was really gung ho, and neither did Joan, who I no longer was calling Samantha because I had a Samantha in another book. So I had Joan and Anne. One was a horrible character to have to be in the head of. The other was too goody-goody to be in the head of. Neither really had a change arc so much as or any type of journey other than going for these interviews and being hired as the devil. And then I came to another draft and I tried again and I went around in circles. Many of my friends have heard about this book for 18 years in one form or another. The last draft being this one. This was when I was beginning to self-publish, and I thought this would come out in May 2019. And as I was looking over this draft, this blurb is still the one for Pride and Prejudice and Pledging, formerly Phi Alpha Pi. That's how this was just supposed to be a draft for me, so I could look through it and make my edits. So I put it aside. And I had an epiphany about 2 years ago that the real story was not Anne's, it was not Joan's, it's Death. Death's story. And as soon as I had that epiphany, I realized this was this point of view we needed. And not only that, this connected to the bigger, broader, enduring series that I have been working on for 30 years. And this has been the story that's been in my head. But all of a sudden, I had an opportunity to come from Death's point of view, Death being one of the enduring, because if Death doesn't endure, then nothing does. But Death is not malicious, Death is not cruel. The universe of Patala, of the underworld, the afterlife, is not a punishment or a reward. It just is, which really leans into my Jewish upbringing, in that there's just the afterlife. But in this case, it's still a holding position. It's not the be all end all. The people who are there are locked there because of a curse. And the rest of the series is about breaking that curse versus just letting this afterlife grow. But in Help Wanted New Devil, we're dealing with a situation where it's becoming untenable for this to continue. The curse needs to be broken because it's only growing and being sustained by one young woman and her magic. And without her, this will fall apart. This is a pocket dimension. The dead that are stuck there will spill into our living world and essentially take over because there are far more of them than there are of us. I mean, can you imagine constantly being haunted, not having any space where you feel safe? I mean, think about the worst horror movie of haunting type of thing. So that's the risk if they can't hire a new devil in time. But Death is checked out. He's bored. He's automated everything. Christina, the current devil, her magic has sustained them for 500 years. The previous devil, she had sustained them for millennia. But now Christina's burning out and they need someone with the right magic to sustain them. And Death really doesn't want to deal with this. He's completely done. So when he is told that the residents would like to have a say in who's picked, he does what every corporation does, and they form a search committee. And that's where the nonsense really gets to happen. And had a lot of fun writing the search committee. The search committee was a second draft idea. The first draft, I pulled in a lot of historical figures because why not when you're dealing with the afterlife? Like, have some fun. Don't go crazy, but have some fun. So the Tudors were pulled in, the dead of the English royal families were pulled in, and as I was forming the search committee, I'm like, well, who else can be on this search committee? And of course, I pulled in Julius Caesar because I figured who else could go toe to toe with Elizabeth Tudor, Elizabeth I, than Julius Caesar. So he got to be in, and then other people. This does connect to the Northanger Parks universe that I created for Love from Northanger Parks, Katie, the rom-com book in my rom-com series, the 21st Century Austen series. And it also ever so slightly will connect to the Frozen Wasteland, but that's really the dark, dark side of my universe. Um, Never shall the two overlap, really, but it's there, it's happening. It's just its own little pocket. So that's where we are. There are 3 devils throughout the course of this story now. There's Christina, who we meet at the beginning. She's the one whose power is about to black out. And then there is Joan, our worst person in the world. And I tried to soften her up. I really did try to have some pity for her, which I I couldn't. Ultimately, it really didn't work. And and then we have Anne, who also interviews. I didn't lose her, but who gets what in the end is the big mystery, and why? Why do we have 3 people in this position over the course of the story? I'm very excited about some of the things, but let's talk about the Kickstarter. So I'm trying to do something different with this, and I see some people are coming into the chat. So if you want to leave your questions, feel free. I'll answer them as I go, even if I answer something twice. I don't really care. Um, but the Kickstarter, my goal is to maybe make the investment that I put in back. So I'm trying to raise $2,000. This will cover, well, the expenses of the items that you're going to get as rewards, but also try to break even on this book. This book and this series is like, it's hard to describe. It's um yeah, Lisa's comment, the people think committees are the spawn of the devil. I mean, I've sat on enough of them. They can be when you're with competing interests in political games. They are what we would equate to hell on earth in some cases, which is why they're ripe for humor and satire at the same time. So the Kickstarter, my effort is to sort of launch the most important book I've ever written, the most important series I've ever conceived of in my head. Who are the enduring? They're the gods. Well, they're who we've made into gods, but they're not. They're the catchphrase is a lot of power and very few fucks. Their goal when they created flesh, human flesh, they didn't create all of flesh. They didn't even create themselves. They don't know nor care who did. But their goal is they did it for sex. They just wanted to have a lot of sex. Humanity's sort of the byproduct of a lot of sex, as people who have had children know. Inevitably, you tend to have a child when you have copious amounts of sex. So that's what they did, and then they realized, they were a little more powerful than the children they were having. They had magic. They could harness that magic through flesh, and we turn them into gods. So there is a focus more on archetypes than identities. So one god we will meet is the dreamer, and he identifies male, always has, probably always will. But he is an archetype of, like Brahma in Hinduism. That is what he does. He is connected to time. He can't change time, but he has connections to oracles. He can foresee and he can look back with clarity. But he can also visually jump through time. Even if he can't interact with time, he can actually visit places within his psychic skill set. There might be a side idea to um, kind of Doctor Who this and have there be in our living world a Doctor Who like series where we are essentially following the dreamer through his adventures through time, since he is enduring, he is an eternal being. Uh, but that's farther in the future. This Kickstart, this is how precious this is to me. I have been thinking about it this long to have come up with a Doctor Who idea. Uh, but at this point, we're just dealing with hiring a new devil, because this is 1994 when we start this book, and we've got a lot of time to cover. That is Cedric, if you heard him. So The main part of this Kickstarter is the book itself. There's a special edition ebook, a special edition paperback, and a special edition hardcover. I cannot show you them because they have not arrived yet. We're still working on the cover design, but let's see if I remove that. Think I have to this is I'm still trying to like use the system properly, but let's see. I have many windows open. Let's just do it this way. You'll get to see the entire computer and every tab I have open. So welcome to my screen. Let's go here for a moment. So here we go. This is what the hardback and paperback cover is going to look like. Very simple. Blurb, me, logos. This is the cover itself. I loved working with the team at 100 Covers to design this. So this is going to be the hardcover and the paperback, and then the ebook will have just this first part of it. That was weird. It was like me throughout the screen. And there are other elements. Yeah, no, I have to do that again. All right. We'll do other elements. So there's the Kickstarter special edition cover. And then there is the thing that I created, like the first thing I created years ago when I realized it was time to publish this book was this brochure. And if you've ever seen Beetlejuice, you'll recall the handbook for the recently deceased. I think that's what it's called, which Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's characters, as soon as they've died, they're in this waiting room and they go back home, and then the handbook is waiting for them and explains everything. So imagine this is something waiting for you one morning. It just arrives, and it's just this brochure of amenities that you're going to get because Patala, this retirement community, is the afterlife. That's how they've designed this, that the magic sustains you. You don't need to eat, you don't need to sleep, you don't need to do anything because you have no body. You are just a spirit. But we still exist within the construct of the bubble we thought we were in forever. So we have all of these amenities. And then, nope, let's close that one now. So people who get the digital content will get the digital edition of that, the PDF, to print on your own. And those who get physical books will get the physical brochure. But we also have Death. I've had Death. This was created by Jess White of Jaw Tattoos. This is her Instagram account. She's an amazing tattoo artist. You can see she's totally into geek culture, Harry Potter, loves Stranger Things, loves Disney, does a lot of great content beyond just tattoos. She created this really awesome Hellfire Club shirt. She was the original Northanger Parks cover designer, and this is her death. And the idea is that he's sort of like Slender Man, except he has no face. He wears masks as suit his mood, but very often he's just a blank featureless face, except for the glowing eyes. The newest of the tarot cards is the devil. This is Christina specifically as the devil. She's been running the afterlife for 500 years, and now her magic is burning out. And this will be a tarot card sticker as well. That is on order, and I'm waiting for it to arrive. Both Death and Christina will be in the special edition ebook, paperback, and hardback as a sort of bookends to the story, so that you can sort of see them in the book itself. This is not going to be in the edition that gets sold on Amazon in the next few months. This is only going to be exclusive to this Kickstarter campaign. And let's close Jess. Smoke and Honey, Heather, is the one who designed Death. I mean, the devil. I met Heather at a market a little over a year ago in Lowell, and I loved her aesthetic and the things she was illustrating. I mean, she's got Scream's Ghost Face. She's got Jesse Pinkman. She did the Hellfire Club. Like you can see, like I lean into the same people over and over. Gremlins, Marvel. She had an amazing Harley Quinn illustration that I had to buy because deep down, I wish I was Harley Quinn, even though I am not. So those are some of the basic rewards and illustrators. This is the death sticker. And it's a nice vinyl heavy sticker that will go on your laptop or water bottles. It's not huge, but it's the right size. I also will be in the sticker pack that people get. But the physical, even the ebook people can, I believe, add on the sticker pack because I can just mail it internationally to people. But this is the Patala logo. You saw it on the brochure too. And then this is the Patreon exclusive sticker. This is the Afterlife committee members. So those who are my supporters on Patreon get this really amazing holographic committee member sticker, and then the mug that goes with it, the Afterlife committee member mug. So that's exclusive for Patreon people. There are only 9 mugs because I took one. I wanted one, so I took it. So that mostly so I could show it off. And then I was getting things organized today, and I found these cute little acrylic pins that I made of death from a company that I routinely go to for things. I'm not sure if I'll make more, but at the very least, I think these will be a add-on that people can get. I'm still working on add-ons. There are digital content aside from the physical stuff includes a 3 short story collection. There is Margot's Shade, which connects us to the Picard family, the family that is cursed, and the reason this pocket dimension exists. There is a story about breaking the curse, which is taking place after the story ends and before the next one begins. And then there is the true history of Margot and Sebastian, who if you when you read Margot's Shade, you will know who they are. This is a story that went along with my Northanger Parks Love from Northanger Parks Katie book that addresses the Picard family's understanding of what happened between the two of them. So it's Margot's Shade really looks at Christina and Matthew, the lawyers, interactions with what is essentially a time ghost. For me, a shade, there are 2 types of hauntings. There's a time haunting, which is a shade, and a ghost, who is a human haunting. And yes, that does connect to the dreamer. A time haunting totally connects to the dreamer. It's important, and you'll know it probably by book 3. You'll understand why there are shades connected specifically to Margot and Sebastian. And it takes place in France, so I get to lean into the proper pronunciation of both names. Not that everybody can. So those are the stories. There are other stories that might get added as we get to the stretch goals. One includes a very dark version of the Northanger family's most well-known ride, the Microverse. That came out in my horror collection. So I'll add it in if we get to certain stretch goals. At this point, I just want to get to the $2,000. There will be other add-ons. Right now, you can add on the 3 horror books, either 2 Frozen Wasteland books or the 2 Frozen Wasteland books with my short story collection that came out last year. You can also add on Love from Northanger Parks Katie, and all 4 you can do is ebook or paperback. And then there was a very high one that is to is to name a character. It's 75 bucks. It's not something I expect many people to do, but if you want to name a character in book 2 of this series, you can. The main characters' names are picked, but that's about it. There's certain names that I have left available so that people can give me input because I like getting ideas from other people. There are 2 add-ons that I am currently in negotiations about. They're 2 local vendors. One is, and let's add this back in. So one is Amaranth and Rue, and this is a company that makes soaps and beauty and bath and body stuff. She is creating a soap for this campaign. Let's get to her soaps. I have had a number of her, things over the years, but she does these soaps, and they're fantastic. The scent we're going with is called Northern Lights, and when you read the book, you will understand why. The name I think is gonna be called something like "I have a riddle for you," or, something along the lines of the riddle. The idea is, if you are able to pass from Patala beyond to whatever comes next, which nobody knows, because the Enduring can't go, so they don't know, and nobody comes back, so nobody tells them. But you come to this bridge where there is a troll, and he has a little hut, and he is very happy, and his name is Lino Javits, and he will ask you a riddle. And if you are allowed to cross, it'll be a riddle you can answer. And if you can't cross, it'll be a really difficult one that you will never answer. So when you can pass, you answer it correctly and you cross the bridge, and there's sort of this aurora borealis behind the scenes, and it will part and you will walk through. So I love almond scents, which for soap, which this scent is almond based. So it's not super sweet. It's really nutty and warm, and I'm really excited. And hopefully, I'll be able to go and talk to Renee, who is the creator of the soap in the company, and she'll be able to give me or you all some insight for a live stream. And then we're going to do ceramics. So, this is my favorite little ghost. He's a little ceramic ghost, and I bought him uh, from uh, from a local event where Carmela was selling these because, she makes them. And over the past year and a half, she's made variations of them, and she has a set with little devil horns, and I was like, "Well, that's just perfection." So these are a little pricier, but we're gonna have about 20 to 25 of them available as add-ons. And if they don't go during the campaign, that's fine. I'll keep them forever. We'll put on little performances with my cute ghosts. But those will be added throughout specific weeks. Throughout, there's only like 2.5 weeks of this campaign, but we're going to have some overlapping add-ons throughout the time so that you can get that content and you will be able to upgrade even if you've already made a bid and then you see something you want to add on, you can come back and adjust. But there are 2 super duper high tiers, and I've designed them to be really high because they're for the people who really want to get into, like, get their fingers in this and be more than just a reader. For me, one of my strengths is not like having large groups of friends, it's getting to know small groups of people. And so these tiers are really designed for those small groups of people. Um, I showed you the 3 books. You can see this one has some tabs. These are the annotated editions that I am going to be putting together. I'm already working on them, mostly because I am in surgery recovery. Some people know this, but I had some abdominal surgery 3 weeks ago, so I've been home sitting on the couch with painkillers and edibles. And so there are moments when I'm so very bored, but also moments where I'm super high. And some great ideas have come up from that and other things. But when I'm super bored, it's fun to pull out these books and make some notes in them with all my many collections of sticky notes and highlighters and markers. So You'll be able to bid on these. There's 3 of them. You can select that tier. It is a very high price, but you're getting one of the early drafts. How we will distribute those depends on if all 3 are taken, but, we'll see. We'll figure that out. And then the other one, which I'm calling the spoiler sweetie tier, is for the true fan, the person who wants to know everything now and wants to give me input into it. And again, it's a super high one. I get it. There's only 5 of them available, but it's for people who really want an investment. And we will do a one-on-one video chat. Or if you are local to me, we will sit down together face to face at a coffee shop and I will treat you to coffee and snacks. And we will discuss what is planned for this series and who the characters are and what is the point? What is the ultimate goal? Because I have been thinking about this for about 30 years and there's a lot decided already. It just has to be written. But you will be able to give me input. If someone had not if someone had read the first draft and been like, "Oh my god, Sarah, she's so unlikable." Yeah, I was in a headspace to make those decisions. Nothing had been written yet. So you will be able to give me that input before things are written. And book 2 isn't coming out for 2 years, because I'm highly anxious about it. So you'll be able to truly help shape it. So those are really high tiers. There are other features that that there's some bonus. So the Patreon supporters, as I said, are get the option to get the committee member stuff, but newsletter subscribers, and you can subscribe to the newsletter at any time and still be able to get these I Heart Books tote bags. This is from my friend Cameron James, who designed them herself. I grabbed 10 of them when she offered them to me, and you can have one of them if you're on my newsletter list by selecting that tier. These are really nice tote bags. I'm hesitating to give all 10 away. I'm hoping the only 9 are taken so that I can keep one for myself. I can go back to her. That won't be a problem, but, that is that is the tote bag for the newsletter subscribers. And then there will be coloring pages, as stretch goals. I'm gonna remove this and we'll talk about the stretch goals for a moment because I am thinking beyond just this initial bit. I know that these are the things that I really can do right now with what I'm trying to raise for this campaign, but I can do more. There are other things. I have designed some coloring book pages. There'll be 12 digital backers who get the digital content will get the digital version of the coloring pages, and then I will be able to hopefully print some of them. It might not be like a bound copy, but I suggest being just focusing on the digital collection. And then there will be additional tarot cards. So let me scroll down to everything's loading a little slower than normal because I'm, on the live stream. It makes it a little bit laggy. So, all right. So here we go. There are 12 coloring pages. They come there'll be a variety of things to color in, including a unicorn, a mermaid, fairies, dragons, Dia dos Mortos, skulls, some lyrics from The Ride. And then aside from death, the devil, the Patala logo, I have designed about 4 other tarot cards on this AI art creation tool called Midjourney. But if we raise the right amount, and let's get back up to the stretch goals themselves. So um, So those 4 extra will be unlocked if we get above 750 dollars. Beyond that, there will be, the Lino Javis tarot card will be designed by Heather from Smoke and Honey. She has, offered to do that if we hit this 1,500 above the 2,000 stretch goals. If we get up just above 250 above there will be an AI narrated audiobook that everybody will have access to as audiobook files that you can load onto your device and listen to. But it will also become something that gets put up on YouTube so that people who want to just sit and listen to an audiobook can. So 500 will be the coloring book pages. 750 is those extra tarot cards. At 1,000, I'll have a book plate designed. I don't know what that'll be. I have a couple artists in mind for that. 1,500 is the Lino Javits tarot card, and then at 2,000 above the campaign, we're going with a human narrated audiobook. And Gona Hawking is the audiobook narrator who did Bribery in my Frozen Wasteland series. She's a gamer. She does audiobooks. She does Twitch live streams of gaming if you want to join her on that. But she is I loved the work she did on Bribery, the horror book, the dark fantasy horror book. So I went to her and asked her if she'd be up for doing it for New Devil, as I affectionately call this series. So she has agreed to do that, and I'm really excited that she will be able to. Yeah, you can bump yourself up a tier and watch to see what the bonus things are so that we can plan this accordingly. Um, but that's about it. I thought I would take about 20 minutes to answer questions, but I suspect that I have answered most of the things that people sent ahead of time. A couple people did email me one or two questions, and I sort of integrated them into this. But I can answer other questions if Lisa has them. and, and if not, people who are watching this on the replay, you can answer you can leave your questions in the comments, and I will be watching that and answering them. I am going to try and do another half hour 40-minute live stream on Sunday. My energy has been good. This is week 3 of recovery. So actually it's like week 4 now. I'm in week 4 of recovery, so my energy is good in the evenings and I can like sit and hang out and do things. And since I'm not writing, we can talk about whatever it is that people have questions about, or I'll sit and figure out what to do with myself. But this will be like for the next 3 Sundays, I'll be on the live stream. We'll talk about the Kickstarter. We'll talk about the Frozen Wasteland series because that's next on the list to continue, and um, other things I've been working on with this. So, um, if there are no other questions, I'm gonna go have dinner and pay attention to Cedric, who I'm sure is ready for attention. I don't know where he went. He ran away. All right. So with that, I'm going to call this a night. Thank you for coming, Lisa, and the other few people who bounced in and out throughout the past 40 minutes. And I hope more of you will support the Kickstarter, and I will come up and share more of the tier content as I get them settled. And watch for not Thursday, but next Thursday, if I am allowed, my doctor allows, I will be going up to the studio where Camilla, who does these, and Renee, who does the soaps work on their crafting stuff, and I will make some videos. And I'm excited for that. And like and subscribe, right? Because there will be more video content. And if you like, YouTube will let me do things like put links in my descriptions, because this is like a brand new channel for me because I'm trying to put some walls up between the rom-com and the fantasy horror stuff. So this is a brand new channel. So liking and subscribing and doing that lets YouTube know that I'm a real person who has some real engagement. So Have a great night, and I will hopefully see you all online or on Sunday.